All right, so it's a Tuesday in December. It's about 40 degrees outside. Got my thick gloves on. I am on my way to work, and I thought this might be a good idea to try to combine some of my exercise and day-to-day activities with some help for people that are trying to get healthier and trying to learn some things. And it'll help my cardio because talking while riding a bike is already more of a challenge. So I'm going to attempt this. This is attempt number one, and we'll see how it goes. If I'm breathing really heavy, it may not be fun for you to listen to, but that might get better as I get in better shape. So I wanted to talk about a couple things, sort of easy tips that people can implement and trying to automate your health a little bit. So a lot of people, when they are trying to get healthy, trying to figure stuff out, they put a lot of mental weight into all the decisions they have to make, which creates a lot of resistance. And that resistance, like weight training, right? That's the way we usually talk about resistance, but hurdles, maybe that's a better way to talk about it. So you're creating a lot of hurdles for yourself. So you're making it really, really challenging to be successful. And I'm a big fan of making things as simple as possible so you don't have to waste a lot of mental energy, a lot of willpower, a lot of effort on getting healthier and trying to improve those things. So try to remove as many barriers as you can to make it easier for yourself, right? So we'll talk about an easy one that most people need to do anyway, which is meal prep. And this can vary depending on your financial situation. You know, the easiest way to meal prep is to have someone else do it for you, but that costs money. It's not a cheap endeavor, but it is hugely convenient. You don't have to worry about the stress of it. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to cook. You don't have to spend any time on any of that stuff. And you don't have to spend any money on the actual ingredients yourself and organizing all that, right? So there's very, very little brain power required, very little effort required, but good amount of money required. So that's going to depend on your situation and depending on your goals. And if you're watching this, most likely it's going to be weight loss. So in a weight loss example, a lot of these food delivery, food prep options will have low calorie, low carb, high protein, and that's what you're going to look for. There's a bunch of services around. There's a local franchise where I live called Clean Eats, and there's a bunch of those around the nation. Factor Meals is a popular one online and one that I've had clients have success with, and they all claim the food is pretty good, service is pretty easy to organize, easy to order from. That's a pretty strong recommendation there. You may have a local company or a local guy. You know, we have a guy in our area that does it for people. He was a trainer like me and realized, like, obviously the big limitation is food for people to lose weight and to get healthier. So he just started doing it himself. And he's got a good business here, so you might be able to find something like that. All right, so number one, meal prep. So if you can offload that and make it someone else's problem and they do all the work for you, great. To get your meals, you got to eat the meals because it's another problem too. People do that, pay for that service, and then they don't eat the meals and they waste money and food. But if you can commit yourself to just eat what they give you and nothing else, or very little else, obviously you're going to have success because it's controlling everything that's going in your body. Number two is protein. Protein is always the limiting factor in everyone's pursuit to build muscle, get stronger, get healthier, et cetera, et cetera. So making sure you have access to protein as easily as possible. So this can be done in a few ways. You could go to the grocery store and get stuff that's frozen that you can just microwave. You know, they have chicken breast and fish and different things that you can just reheat that are already cooked. Maybe some preservatives and sodium and that kind of stuff that could be problematic, but it's a step in the right direction and definitely probably a big boon from where you are currently. And then getting stuff that you can prep really easily. So you can get frozen stuff, or you can get ham, or you can get things that you just have to microwave. You don't really have to think about canned chicken, sardines, canned tuna. When I was young in college, canned tuna saved my life many times because I didn't necessarily have the time or the knowledge to cook, even though it's not that hard, which we'll go over in a minute. And I would use canned goods a lot. And even to this day, I still like having sardines around. When I just need a little protein, a little fat in a meal, and I don't have something prepared or I don't have time, then I just grab some sardines. So step one, hand it off to someone else, have them make it for you. Step two, get stuff that's really easy, you can just microwave. Step three is make your meal prep as easy as possible. So I know people that cook every night. I mean, if you have that kind of free time or you enjoy cooking, awesome. That's one way to go about it, but very time consuming, very easy to get to the point of and then make a different decision because you're tired or you're not in the mood or you want something else. It's a little more room for error when you cook every night. So my suggestion is you at least have your protein prepared ahead of time. So what I would say is what I do is grill on the weekends. So I get about 6 pounds of chicken breast because I eat 2 pounds a day, Monday through Friday. I don't know why I said 6, it would be 12, Monday through Saturday. So I get 12 pounds of chicken breast and I just grill that on Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, kind of depending on my schedule. So you can do that. Whoa, stuck. You can use the crock pot, which is a great tool, which you still need a protein-based food in there, but you can make chilies, you can make soups, you can do chicken breast, you can do pork in there pretty easily, pork tenderloin or pork butt, etc., etc. So the best part about that, and especially like it's getting cold here, grilling out in 15 degrees kind of sucks. I do it, but it's not exactly the most fun thing in the world. So what you can do with a crock pot, and this is a big tip I'd have for you, is Saturday night before you go to bed, you put everything you need in the crock pot, turn it on, put it on slow, wake up, it's done. Very, very low effort. So I just think the ability to stick with it and be consistent with your meal prep, the lower the effort, the better it'll be. So crock pot would be a great one that you can do Saturday night. You wake up, it's done, you dish it all out, and your work's done. You did very little effort. You cut and do stuff in there, put your ingredients in, you click a button, boom, problem solved. But making sure to have that protein ready. Pork tenderloin in the oven is a great one too. Typically only takes about 40 minutes. So you can put it in there, season it. You can cook a lot depending on the size of your oven, right? And put it in there. So Instant Pot, crock pot, grill. Trying to prepare your meat for the week. And if you want different sources of protein, you can do it that way too. I tend to stick to the same thing every day just because it's easier and I don't want to think about it, but people need more variety in their life. I understand that. So having different types of protein. All right, this is going to be the hard part. I don't think I'll be able to talk while I get up here. Luckily, there's rarely anybody here. This early, still before 4 a.m. That's the time of recording. But sometimes you see a drunk person or two out here on the bridge. So on the meal prep side, the majority of you, it's going to be protein based, like I said. So just making sure that you have your protein prepared. You have some way to have access to it all the time. I kind of like that talking while doing this is making my heart work harder. I have a big goal of getting my resting heart rate down to the low 40s And this will make that a little easier if I keep getting in better shape and talking during these videos. I have one more big hill to hit. So I'll probably turn this off for because it's much harder. And I doubt I'll be able to talk anyway unless you want to see me suffer. Then I guess I can leave it in just for fun. Whew. So going back to meal prep, it's the biggest weakness when people are trying to get healthy. So preparing your protein is going to be number one. So make sure you have some way to have your protein already in the fridge and ready to go. The other stuff, like I make vegetables every night, steam them, boil them, saute them. That takes 10 minutes. That's a little easier. But if you're trying to make a fresh protein every night, 20 to 50 minutes, depending on what you're doing, it's just a lot more impractical. So it becomes harder. Unless you have the time to do it and you want to do it, by all means. But I try to offset as many decisions as I can and as much thought and effort as I can into my meals. That way, I just grab and go. Don't have to think too much. So offload it, and maybe it's a combination. You offload some of your meals, you make some of your own. Maybe you're lucky you have a spouse that'll help you prep some stuff. But for the majority of you, it's going to be protein and vegetables and not much else. So getting those things handled. But yeah, Instant Pot, crock pot, grill. Those are going to be your best weapons. George Foreman grill, if you want to do it indoors and it's cold. Not as big, can't do as many at once, but works just as well. You just have to pay attention to it a little bit more. And then eating out is the other area where most people make big mistakes, right? So it all comes down to food. The exercise part is challenging in getting into your routine, but it's a little bit easier to manage. The food part is definitely where more people struggle. And trying to be as consistent as possible and make it as easy as possible if you'd be successful with it, right? Don't add barriers, don't add restrictions, don't add friction to it. Try to simplify it, be as straightforward as possible, and you're more likely to have success. So eating out, some of you may have jobs where you eat out for lunch. Some of you may have jobs where you eat out for dinner, or you have work events where you're entertaining clients, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you don't, most people go on the weekends, and that's where they eat out a lot more, end up consuming more calories and alcohol, which is a whole different conversation that really will wreck your progress. So if you are going to go out, the crux of your day still hinges around protein and vegetables, because you're going to get a lot of carbs and fats at your dinner, most likely. That's where the majority of calories come from when you eat out. And you're not going to get enough protein in that meal unless you're specifically getting a steak or some big barbecue dinner or something. But most people are not going to consume enough protein in their dinner. So what you need to do is plan the rest of your day for that meal. And even if you don't know exactly what you're going to get, if you can prepare yourself to be the most successful way possible ahead of time, you're less likely to go over at dinner. So you would need to eat protein and vegetables all day and very little else, and save all your calories for that meal you're going to go out for. So, if you're going to an Italian place and you're going to have pasta, you're going to get 2,000 calories of sauce and noodles and maybe bread and wine, et cetera, et cetera. So you need to save all your calories the rest of the day with the stuff that's important. So just protein, which is low calorie, lean protein. So you have that all day leading up to it. That way you're getting your protein for the day that you're going to need. And then vegetables are kind of your filler, just to help you stay full, because if you're just eating protein and vegetables, you may not feel like you're eating a lot, even though the actual volume of food in your stomach will be fairly high. So hopefully you aren't all that hungry. But then you're saving all those dense calories for the meal that you're going out. So just try and prepare it that way. So just a take on food prep. rehash what I said throughout this because I'm about to get to the big hill and it's going to get a lot harder to talk. uh, Offload it if you can, if that makes sense for you financially, right? Pay someone else to make your food for you and have it ready for you, and then you don't have to waste any mental energy or physical effort preparing it yourself. Just stick to it. Know that if you're going to pay for it, then you're going to follow through and you're just going to eat what they give you. And you're not going to think about it beyond that. And if not that, trying to meal prep as best you can, getting things from the grocery that are ready to go, that are already cooked. You can just microwave or heat up on a pan or something very quickly. So ham's a good one that comes to mind. You know, we're in Kentucky, Kentucky Legend Hams, great product. So you can do that. There are all kinds of like frozen chicken breast chunks and stuff in the frozen section at grocery stores. You can do this with vegetables as well, but the protein is the number one purpose behind what we're talking about. So making sure you have that available. And then canned foods, right? Another one that you can prepare. Canned chicken, I actually find kind of tasty. You know, that's going to vary for everyone, but add a little buffalo sauce to it. Tastes pretty good. So you got that ready to go. And then the next one is prepping your meat ahead of time on your own, which is going to be the crock pot overnight. It's my preferred way, but you can do the crock pot in the morning and then let it sit for 6 to 8 hours and just keep an eye on it as you go. Grilling a bunch of meat at once. Nice thing about that is, you know, 20 to 40 minutes and you're done, and you just cook a ton depending on the size of your grill. And, you know, pretty easy clean up, brush it off, clean it off, and you're good to go. And then stuff in the oven. I'm a big fan of pork tenderloin in the oven. That's one I really like personally. And then eating out, making sure that you budget your calories. And we can go into macros and calorie breakdown and math later in a different video. But saving all your heavy caloric foods, your carbs and your fats, for that meal that you're eating out. And whether it's during the week or the weekend, still trying to use that strategy so you don't tip over with over consuming a ton of calories. So if you know you're going out to eat on a given day, try to eat just protein and vegetables around that. And if you're going out for breakfast, then you eat whatever your breakfast is. You should eat protein and vegetables the rest of the day. If you're going out for lunch, breakfast and dinner is just meat and vegetables. If you're going for dinner, you should eat meat and veggies all day and get ready for dinner. All right. That wraps up everything I wanted to talk about. And I'll leave this video on as I go up this big hill. All right, hard part's over. In case my voice sounds muffled, I have a full face toboggan on because I really don't like my face being cold. I actually have a full set of ski goggles to go over my glasses when it gets under 30 degrees because the cold hurts the eyeballs pretty bad. So I got prepared. I have toe covers on my bike too, because your extremities get really cold because of the wind before everything else. But I really like biking in the morning and in the dark, cold or not. It's a very pleasant feeling for me. Helps put my thoughts in order, helps prepare me for the day. Definitely recommend some kind of cardiovascular work early to get your mind right, get your metabolism going. All right. Have a good day, guys.